You doing okay?
Good, good. So far it's you and Representative Olson are on the phone, and we have a couple members just getting started here in office, Matt McCauley and Elijah Michalowski from AG.
Okay.
So we'll give a couple more minutes for people to trickle in.
Be great.
Have you guys always had this separate building? No. No, we in the last session,
No.
we got like 3 more FT. Yeah, so
I'm afraid this is a guy these days.
this house became this awesome.
It's taking me longer to recover.
Yeah, last I think last time we had this meeting like behind the secretary's desk.
Yes.
Surrounded by printers.
Yeah. I'm still processing. Well, commitment rate at some other point.
That would have been a work group.
So have you stayed here, or have you made it back down to
It's just
Arizona?
the
Oh, good for you. Yeah. Well, weather hold that for you down there?
So we don't have a quorum.
Well, that makes us all jealous. We're supposed to have high 60s, low 70s by the end of the week up here.
We know that it's us.
Okay. Yeah, you should get full replacement cost for that. And then some.
I'll fix that.
Ain't that suffering? You should better upgrade. Oh, there you go.
Hi, who's joining us on the phone? I was just about to text you. Welcome, DA of Crook County. Good, good. How you doing? Representative Olson, what you see?
Now, you did have a conversation before we heard from Andy about how fantastic the weather is in Arizona.
Thank you for sharing me that. I don't want to.
All right, so we've.
Diana, your county's really been growing.
Yeah, family and four kids.
So we almost have a quorum, and we're expecting Lieutenant Fred Testa to walk in at any time. So as soon as he does, we'll get started.
I'm sorry I'm not there in person today.
I know, what the heck? I come to your meetings.
Roll call. She's in charge now.
So on the phone, you might recall last year's report, after we published it, Dave Finanke sent out an email and said, why weren't we publishing how the proceeds were spent, and pointed out the statutory authority that says that we have to do that. And so it again does not appear in the report that Julie sent out to you, but we do have all that information and we printed it out. We'll send it to you after the meeting, and we will incorporate it into the report so that this year it's back in there how the proceeds were done. So it's just not in front of you right now, but we'll get it to you right after the meeting, and we'll incorporate it into the body of the report afterwards.
Okay.
Michael, I have a question on Julie's draft. It says summary of asset forfeiture report in 2015. There's a highlighted yellow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what's going to be put in there?
Yeah, good question. That was actually, we were going to see if anyone had any thoughts or comments. It's just kind of a placeholder for us to put a little forward in the report if we wanted to say anything of note. In years past, we've done, legislative updates if anything changed with the law. So it's just a placeholder for us to add language if we wanted to.
Predominantly the way assets were seized were by search warrant or seizure order. I think that's a good thing for law enforcement, if they're getting court approval, in more cases than not.
Yeah.
So I thought that was something that might be neat.
That we could maybe call that out.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, yeah, we can put that on there. So
And I think the other thing I would just suggest, not knowing that what the outcome is, should we be calling out what the difference in ratio is as to what was captured or as a forfeiture through the criminal versus civil? Because it looks like it's like 10% roughly is what criminal was compared to how much came out on civil.
So we are still waiting on Lieutenant Testa to get started, but we were just joined in the room by Senator Ferrioli.
He said he would, because no one asked, he's on his way.
He's on his way, okay. So we're just kind of looking through things as we're waiting for quorum to arrive here, voting members. And talking about this summary of asset forfeiture in Oregon. And we just kind of put a placeholder there if the committee wanted to call out anything in the report, anything of a forward type to what's happened. So yeah, we can talk about the ratio of criminal to civil forfeiture and the number of warrant searches approved by the court beforehand. We can put both those things in a forward. Some of this is the disposition of how the funds were used.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So this will be in the report, just didn't make it into this cut. But we'll incorporate it in.
So while we're waiting to get started, I had a 40,000 foot question.
Yeah.
I guess I assumed more firearms seizures, because just speaking from an arm's length, you almost never see a drug seizure without a pile of guns on the same table. But as I went through the report, I didn't see that reflected. The other thing is, it looked like only 1 or 2 cases of real property asset seizure. And I know that always causes some purple faces at the banking sector, because, very often there's a mortgage and a different interest holder of the equity, or at least a lien hold interest on the property. But I would have thought that there'd be a rather aggressive attempt to recover everything that was purchased by the ill-gotten gains of criminal enterprise, including cars and boats and bling and property. But I'm not seeing that in this.
In the civil side, there's more. In the criminal side, there was 1, like you said.
Yeah.
In the civil side, I see 34.
Okay. So I
it's
look for
more.
those over on the civil side rather than the criminal.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe you guys have some thoughts as to.
There were 34 seizures of real property.
Well, it says property sold or placed in use.
That could be cars.
Sorry, not good, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be very
Yeah.
surprised.
Okay.
He was like 3, actually.
Houses,
I think so, yeah.
All
Oh, wait,
the way-
no, for criminal 0, I think for civil, I think it was 2.
I know that we did one, but we did it via RICO forfeiture last year. And then I know that the city of Portland is doing one right now.
Yeah.
They haven't completed it, and I'm unaware of any others.
I think the answer to your question though is why not more? There are several answers. Now, one, and it's very complex things to go after a real property, but 2 is the facts to prove that the real property is in fact
A proceed.
proceed.
Or connected.
Exactly. Are often difficult.
Sure.
It's a very limited fact scenario where you end up with that. You've got to have a case where somebody is, you can show for an extended period of time their only business has been drug dealing.
Sure.
And they bought the house in that period of time or something. And it's just those facts just aren't known very often.
Well, then there's just about every meth house is a question about whether or not you want to own it.
Was that, and there's also, a lot of them aren't owned by the, that's the other thing, is a lot of times,
They're
raised defendants don't own
Right,
property.
right.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, I would say rental property for meth cases, even very large meth cases, is the norm. We virtually almost never see cartel-centered groups that are maintaining real estate in the United States, at least in Oregon. Almost all of those proceeds go south.
All right, so Mr. Chair, we're just joining the room by Lieutenant Fred Testa, so we are set to go. We have a quorum, so if you want to call us into order, we'll begin recording this meeting for public notice requirements, and we'll get going.
Yeah, for purposes of recording, we'll call the meeting to order, and Mike, I'd like for you to be our director and walk us through the different components.
All right. So there's, besides the roll call, let's get everyone on the phone to just announce who's present.
Dinah Midland, Kirk County District Attorney.
Andy Olson, Superintendent of Oklahoma. Lloyd Krasowski, State Senator, out of Douglas, Lane County.
I don't think anyone else called in, so that should be all on the phone. And then we'll start to my left of members in the room.
Ted Ferriola.
Elijah Mikulowski.
Matt McCauley?
Fred Testa.
Serena Thompson, Julie Bond.
And Mike Schmidt. All right, so you all have the report in front of you. The one thing that you don't have, and I mentioned this to some of you on the phone already, last year it was brought up to us that we didn't include the proceeds, or how the proceeds were used in our report, and that was an error. We don't have it in the draft report that Julie sent out, but we do have that information all laid out. We have it in a spreadsheet. We didn't get it in time to email it out to you all on the phone, but we will right after this meeting, and we will be incorporating it into the report. So you don't have that in front of you, but we do have all the information in the contact and what the proceeds were used for. So you'll see that after the meeting. All right, so then to the report. We were kind of talking as people were coming in on the first thing in the report, which Dinah noticed, which is the summary of asset forfeiture in Oregon 2015 goes here. We kind of just put a placeholder there. And that was, in the past, we've used that to call out any kind of legislative updates that have happened or any kind of changes or news that we wanted to point out. But also, we could call out issues that we see in the report or in asset forfeiture. We were talking before we got started about the ratio of civil to criminal forfeiture and how it's about 10 to 1, I think, Floyd, you said. And then also,
yeah, that was a really rough guess, and now I'm looking at some of the numbers. I don't think it's quite that, but I think it's worth calling out because this looks like we significantly have shifted back to, the civil versus the criminal.
Yep. And then also, Dinah, you pointed out the number of cases that started on the criminal side with the warrants. So we can come back to this part of it as we go through the report. But that's an area for us to add some comments if we wanted to as a committee about what we're seeing in asset forfeiture. We can kind of call that out here in the beginning. So I guess just walking through the report, we can start in the criminal forfeiture, and then there's no need for me to read it section by section, but as members, if you want to call something out, and then we will discuss it. But for those on the phone, let's use the page number that we're looking at so that they can follow along with us.
Michael, I don't know when it's okay to respond to Senator Ferrioli, but he is concerned about the fact that it is seen as if weapons were being forfeited, and that's always part of the drug cases. And what I would point out is that in 2001 and then 2003,
that doesn't give me a warm, fuzzy feeling. All that does is prove that what we did was provide a tremendous disincentive for law enforcement agencies to do those seizures. What's happening with...
It's much easier. Essentially what happens is once the defendant is convicted of a crime and that weapon was in any way used, it's automatically forfeited, and the law enforcement agency can then either destroy it or use it for training or other purposes, or if they sell it, then they have to follow the civil forfeiture statute. So it's actually an easier process.
So if it's an easier process, shouldn't that be reflected by numbers in the seizure data?
I think the issue there is that because the way we set it up and it happens automatically in the courts, it doesn't really come into the system like other stuff. We would have to require the prosecutor agencies to run a tally on each of those cases and then feed that into the systems for reporting purposes, if I remember correctly.
That's right.
So it's happening, it's just not being reported the same way because it's happening under different statutes.
So how's it being, if it's not reported, how's it measured?
That's a good question.
I don't know if it is really actually being measured. This was a process that, as you kind of mentioned, it seems like you have that hand in hand, and to not have to have the agencies go through a longer, more detailed process, it was determined that the simplest way to handle it would be what we're doing now. Whether we need to report that, I'm not sure what the benefit would be as to what we would be showing.
Well, there's the other side of that question, Senator, is they shouldn't disappear in the system. Somebody should track
Well, there's a tracking to the court, in the sense of the court, when it has its order, it's mandating or dictating to the agency, they shall do these things. Now, I guess once they've been told to do it, if we're have concern that they're not doing it, then I could see why we would want that to have some cross-checking.
It just seems odd that we wouldn't track those in the asset forfeiture data. I mean, certainly there's no problem with making the seizure easier. There's certainly no problem with making it automatic. And so I only raised the issue that it looks odd to me that in the asset forfeiture report to the legislature, 3 weapons were seized. So it's either, not part of the report, or we should track the fact that there's a lot of weapons being seized, but they don't show up in the report. I mean, it's worth an asterisk or something.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what I was going to suggest, Ted. I think that would be the way to do it, is just to earmark with an asterisk that normally these weapons are being forfeited under the statute that's being used. That way it's covered, or at least acknowledged in the report, but it doesn't put a new onus of us following and tracking a separate statute that's not part of the asset forfeiture per se.
Don't need to do more work, just it's either 3 or it's thousands. And I'm gonna guess it's thousands. And if you don't want to report it or track it in this report, why bother with the 3? Why not just tell people firearm
Because
seizures
the
are automatic?
being forfeited under the statutes that we're reporting on.
Right. It just looks odd.
Statute ORS 131A.450 requires reporting only when you use the civil forfeiture statutes in 131A or the criminal forfeiture statutes in 131. And this, so it would require legislative change in order to require people to do other than a voluntary reporting, in my opinion.
Well, there you have it.
This is an issue that I could put the note to that in our summary of the report at the beginning.
Yeah, I think it might answer people's questions when they see, over $1 million seized, and lots of currency seizures and lots of other types of asset forfeitures, and 3 firearms.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to say, well, they're going somewhere else. Wonder where they're going.
So still on the criminal forfeiture section, going through the different places, does anything stand out to anybody? Questions, comments?
So if I was looking for patterns, I would say Central Oregon has a huge effort going forward on this issue, as does Douglas County, and then Southern Oregon, Jackson County. I'm not so impressed with the major population centers, Portland, for instance, because I would expect them to have a higher number of these seizures. But when I see those other areas, I'm thinking that's an extraordinary effort being put forward by small communities.
And I think that what these numbers can't reflect is some of the major population centers actually use federal seizures a lot more, or forfeitures a lot more.
Or civil, because this.
Yeah, and then obviously, but the federal part is actually, this is 2015 numbers as well. Near the end of 2015, the federal government made a change in their asset sharing program, and so I think it will be interesting to see the 2016 numbers. There's from places like Multnomah County, the Portland Police Bureau, and see how that has changed it. And since the federal government is not going to be as helpful to them with these seizures as they have been in the past.
Well, that's why the Department of Justice, the Department of Treasury is still taking the seizures right now. So I don't know how much that's actually going to impact the numbers.
Okay.
I don't think the federal government has not stopped seizing property for either civil or criminal forfeiture. What's happened is they're prohibited from sharing with any local agencies because of the reduction in their budget, and so that's the issue, not whether they're going to continue to do cases.
Sure, but when you've got local agencies like Portland, are they going to still continue to use that route, or are they going to start using the Oregon in civil forfeiture more so that they see more of that money? Yeah, and I don't know the answer to that.
They have their own forfeiture counsel who I work with a lot.
Yeah, Rebecca.
Oh, yeah, and so, I don't know if that'll happen or not. We'll see.
Did someone just join us by phone?
Hey, it's Coleman. Sorry, I was running late this morning in court.
Thank you for joining us. Just to catch you up, we are going through the criminal side of the forfeiture report that was emailed out to you.
Okay, let's pull up.
All right.
The other thing that I wanted to point out was both Central Oregon and Douglas and Jackson counties are HIDA designated areas, and so that could be a reason why their seizures and cases are up over the rest of the state.
All right. Any other notes or things to mention on the criminal side? Hearing none, let's go to the civil side of the report, starting on page 8.
I have a quick question. When it says number of seizures, how is that defined for the agencies reporting the data? Is it by case? Is it by location? Is it by?
Case. So they fill out the report and it populates an Excel spreadsheet, and I just tally how many were reported under each organization.
And that report is like, so if a drug team goes out and does a search warrant on 5 houses, 1 report or 5 reports? Or is that up to the agency to figure that out?
It's up to the agency.
Interesting.
guessing X amount of forfeiture cases that they
And,
accomplish.
and it
or
doesn't
start.
depend on if they do report all 5 houses together, cause if it's one seizure, they could report it as one case, right?
And
Yeah.
are they reporting this when they open it or when they close it?
When they open it.
You know, when they initiate.
Yeah,
As
cause
soon
they
as
have,
practical,
exactly.
I
As soon
believe the
as
statute says,
practical.
so.
Okay.
When they're gonna start a forfeiture case.
All right. It's a little muddy, but it's okay.
And one other question, if they're opening it as soon as practical, when they have a case, how do we know the distribution of assets? You know, how do we accurately know these numbers? How much money was seized and what have you if it's not closed yet?
Well, seized is different than
Forfeited. Right. So I'm just making sure
Yeah,
the
so
numbers are accurate to the amount of
forfeited
cases being
figures-
reported.
Yeah, forfeit is gonna reflect in the dollar amount, but in dollar amounts.
Because when it has total receipts available for distribution, that would have to happen upon closure, correct?
Yes.
And you're
Yeah.
required to report after a judgment has been obtained, or whatever final disposition of the case. If it's dismissed, judgment, any of that, you're required to report both at the time of seizure and after you're finished.
Right, okay. Just clarifying that.
So in this report, and because I think this is our first year of being able to do this, this reflects, the seizures reflect what happened in 2015. But the dollar amount doesn't necessarily mean that all of that is derived from these seizures, because some of them are still open
Right.
and still in the middle process, so those dollars will be reported most likely next year
Right, that's what I was trying to get
on
at.
a lot of them.
Some of those 2015 seizure dollars are actually from 2014 cases, right?
That I don't know, because it was kind of funky how it was before, because people weren't able to report until the whole thing was done.
Okay. But
And so
going
that was a
forward,
problem,
that's
but
what
moving
we're
forward,
trying to
yes.
do. Okay.
So next year, there will be dollar amounts that derive from 2015 seizures.
Gotcha.
Good question. Other thoughts, questions around the civil side of the report?
Do these categories all appear on the form? So each one of these, now, was this a change in the form for some of these categories?
Yes,
Yes.
there was.
Yeah, we had a work group,
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah.
So yeah, this,
I'm just, I'm curious, because there's a 0 for vehicle hidden compartments, and was that a new category? I can't remember.
Yes.
That was, okay. So we
This
should,
year.
so we should see that populate for 2016, okay.
Yes.
There you go.
Under claims filed, that'd be page 9. Yes for 82 and other for 82. And no for 325. So those are, that creates at least 3 questions for me. There's 82 cases. They don't fit in any category. Because they're other. Or other is undefined.
yeah.
And then no, yeah, the question there is, well, why not? You know, why aren't those claims, are those claims filed by third parties? Are those claims for forfeiture filed by agencies?
So when property is seized, law enforcement seizes property, they give notice to people they seize from, and then they also publish notice, to the world through the paper.
Sure.
If somebody wants to say, hey, this is my money, they have to come and file a claim.
Counterclaim.
So what that's saying is in 325 cases, nobody can even file a claim on
else? Any other thoughts on this report for the committee?
No?
Is there anything ensuring that all drug teams and agencies that seize are reporting their seizures on this report?
That is a good question.
So there's seems to be a little bit of a loophole that so if, let's say Multnomah County does a seizure and wants to share the proceeds with Clackamas County, they can do that without necessarily having an MOU in place. They can do it in an equitable manner, and they can share with Clackamas, and Clackamas does not have to report what they purchased with those dollars.
Why do you think that?
Well, we've had a couple of cases, one or two, where an agency decides to share with another, and even though it's recommended that an MOU or some kind of agreement's in place, I don't know that it's clear in the statute that that's required to have that MOU or agreement in place, and the seizing agency can share and report that distribution as part of their Form 3 or Form 2, and they're reporting how they're distributing those funds, but the agency that's receiving the funds, they didn't seize them, and so they are not required to report their purchases.
Why do you believe that's correct in light of ORS 1318.450, which is when the forfeiture statute was enacted, it was deliberately this part was a well contested section of the statute when we worked on it, that wanted anybody who received any sort of forfeiture proceeds that they were required to report that. And I think you can find that in 1218.450. So I'm not sure why they don't think they need to report that if they receive proceeds.
So yeah, I'm gonna bail Julie out here a little bit since she's not an attorney, and she's probably working with the agencies and listening to what they're saying. So there's a specific case you have in mind where you worked with an agency where they split funds, and then the other agency who received funds in a different county, they didn't want to report. Is that?
No, it's not that they didn't want to report, and they might be in here somewhere and have reported it, but they didn't receive the funds as part of their seizure.
Sure.
They received it from so it's kind of secondhand.
Mm-hmm.
And so the question is really then, do they have to report their purchases of those funds that they didn't make the seizure?
So what I'm hearing from Dinah is that the answer to that question would be yes.
That's my opinion, yes. That was a big issue, and I don't know if Senator Brzezinski remembers that, but that was, we wanted to be as broad. If we need to amend the statute to specifically say that, I think we should, but I think the statute right now is pretty broad and would require anybody who receives any forfeiture proceeds, no matter how you do it, is required to report that in Oregon.
Yes, I agree with that. I do remember those discussions. I do remember some of the members that were sitting with us, including Bedanke, being very focused on that as well, just to make certain we have full disclosure and transparency.
Well, I remember that.
That's reminded in subsection 4 of the statute as well. And it's all public bodies that receive forfeiture proceeds. It's not limited to the seizing agency.
Great. Well, that's we'll make sure that we go back and have everybody that received proceeds listed in here as well. So we'll double check on that, and I'll talk with Julie about the specific cases that she's thinking about, and we'll make sure that it's all in there. Other thoughts on the civil side, or at this point the report in general?
Okay, this just follows on that last part of what y'all are gonna do, just to try to make sure we shore everything up. If for some reason we run into some obstacles, not saying we will, but if we do with an agency about how they're interpreting it or what they're reporting, I want to make certain that we can get this report out on a pretty timely basis, and we may need to put some caveat as to a supplemental coming out with additional information.
Yep, I will, Julie and I will follow up today, work on that and see if there's any reason why it will cause delay. And if it will cause delay for some reason, then I will, I think your suggestion is a good one, that we can note in the forward maybe that there will be a supplemental coming out.
Exactly where that should go, yeah.
Great.
So I have a question on, stay of proceedings requested, and,
What page are you looking at?
I'm looking at page 10. So I note that it's 0, and that's confusing to me because that's pretty common practice as soon as the complaint has been filed and they've answered the complaint, then the next step is almost always to file a stay of proceedings until the criminal case is done. And so is that one of those statistical anomalies from a change in the forms, or is it, I'm just wondering why we're at a 0 there.
That's what was reported, but I can look in and make sure that, there's nothing missing and that the data's there. I can look into it and see
Okay.
what's been that.
The answer may be, and this is just a little confusing to me, but the heading for that section is forfeiture case and associated criminal case declined. So this may be specifically only asking in the case where a criminal case was declined, and then for some reason a stay of proceedings was filed, and that would probably be a rare situation. But so I'm not sure how.
Does that heading go for the remainder of 10 and 11?
I don't know. Let me see. What's 14?
But then even to your point there would be, well, where is the
Yes.
stay of proceedings for the cases that aren't?
Okay.
Sure.
Just like it
Sure.
up heading.
And maybe that we're not asking that on the forms, and that may be why.
And maybe if it, we might need the help of an attorney to look and make sure that this heading is even right, because this format was before my time, so we just kind of kept carrying it over, and we want to make sure that this heading is true to what it's saying, because maybe it's only for one of these little categories.
Well, yeah, I mean, and now that I look at it even more, the heading does seem to be part of the problem, because the very next thing under the heading is judgment of civil forfeiture, 279 judgments of civil forfeiture after you've got criminal case declined, and you can't. The Constitution says you can't have forfeiture without a conviction, and so there's something going on with that heading that I think is causing some of the confusion. But then if you take away the heading, then we're back to why is stay of proceedings requested at 0? And is that a problem with the way we're collecting the data, or is it something that new that we've added and we haven't been collecting that data long enough?
Yeah, that's what we did last year, so.
And were there stay of
There were
proceedings last
6
year?
by government.
6 by government?
Yeah, it's kind of, well, this one is separated out by government, by claimant, and then jointly.
Yeah.
You'd never ask for a stay in a criminal case because the forfeiture is part of the criminal case, so you would never do that. The motion for stay is only on the civil forfeiture side. So if there's a way to, have the civil forfeiture only.
Yeah. Well, we're in the civil forfeiture part of the report, though.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
I wondered, do the people filling out these reports, I mean, they have that information, they would know if a stay was requested?
Maybe not always. I mean,
That's a good question.
you know.
I mean, if the law enforcement agency that sees it is filling out the report, case, there's a
They
state
may not know
request.
that.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, just looking through the person who filed it, who write the compiler, looking down through here, there's only a couple prosecutors. Most of these
Right.
are staff people.
That's
So,
so
yeah.
they might not have that information, they just ignore it. Is that something that we need to report out of? Is it information that's useful? You said it happens in just about every case. Is that even a useful thing to know if it's a common practice?
You know, I don't know why it would be useful, frankly. It's just, because what it is you have to have a conviction in order to get to the end of the civil forfeiture case. And so there's no way to get to the end until the criminal case is done. So the statutes clearly anticipate that, and they clearly allow for the stay. And so, I mean, yeah, in just about every case that's contested, I'm sure it's happening.
Right.
Unless the person is running in and pleading guilty and the criminal case is being done like that. I mean,
Yeah.
So I don't know why anyone would care whether
Yeah.
it's state or not.
And I mean, reading through the statutes in preparation for this meeting today, I didn't see anywhere that's required information for us to report out. And it doesn't seem like it
Yeah.
adds much value, and it doesn't seem like the people reporting may even have that information. So how would the committee feel about if we just jettison that part of just that one question?
Let's get rid of it.
works for me.
Stay in proceedings.
This is Floyd. I don't have a problem with it. Diana, what do you think?
I don't think it matters either. And a stay would only be requested if a claim has been filed. Otherwise, and you're not required to get a conviction if no claim is required.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that I think should be, we should make sure that that's clear. But I don't think it matters on stay of proceedings. The only issue would be if you want to know how long it takes to get from beginning to end of a civil forfeiture case.
That was something we did focus on sometime in the past. Was just trying to have some clarity as to what the length of time, but I don't want us to get hung up on that at this point unless there's an absolutely necessary. We think there's something sliding or slipping through the cracks and it just isn't being followed through timely.
Seems like there's consensus in the room here that it doesn't add much and we can get rid of it. Sounds like the same on the phone. Okay. Makes that easy. Other questions, comments on the report? All right, I think we've kind of gone through it. Looks like everyone here in the room is no longer really flipping through or satisfied on the phone. Are we good to go?
Nice work, Michael and Julie.
Yeah, Julie. Julie and Serena helping out there.
That was Julie.
All right, so we will, I will propose some language for that placeholder that was in there, a few of the things that the committee's called out, and send it out to you. We will add in, as I noted at the outset, how the disposition of property went, how the proceeds were used into the report, back like it was in the 2013 report. We will get rid of that one section that we just talked about. And I think that pretty much concludes it. Julie and I can get this back out to you in pretty short order so you can look at it, and then
We'll set up an April meeting.
we'll set up one more quick meeting so that the committee can weigh in on the final report, and we'll adopt it and go from there.
Let me just see if we can shortchange that let me just see if the members think we actually need to have a secondary follow-up meeting. I mean, I feel comfortable based on what's been said is that you send this out, and unless we have a disagreement once someone reviews it, it could just go out based on the proposal, unless you just want to do this in separate stages.
No, that would certainly work for us. We can send out the finalized report, and then hearing no objections from any members of the committee, we can deem it accepted by the committee and then get it out to the legislature.